Alrighty, so this is episode 2 of the CR125 build. Now, we've got a fair few parts to go on still. Got a couple more in the mail. We've got some radiator hoses, a SCAR whole shot device, and this absolutely beautiful Pro Circuit Works expansion chamber, and then the R304 race shorty. So in this video, we're going to be putting chain sprockets, fresh tyres, bark busters, bars, exhausts, and then we're going to start putting some of the plastics back on, and we're hopefully going to get it in running condition. Alrighty, so we're going to detail the engine. I've got a bit of dirt on it, but we're going to detail the engine, clean it right up, change the radiator hoses, and drain the clutch oil, and then hopefully it's going to be in running condition after that couple of little things, and we might even start it up for the first time. Alrighty, so now we're going to be changing out these old radiator hoses that are pretty buggered, and we're going to be putting some fresh ones on there. I reckon this is going to look epic, but we'll get to work on that. I think it's going to turn up great. Alrighty, so as you saw in the previous clip, all the new radiator hoses are on. I reckon it looks awesome, the red. So now we are indeed going to change the oil. So first of all, we've got to crack this top cap open. We'll just set it off to the side there like that. Now, I believe it's 17mm, but I haven't actually checked yet. There's this big old bolt there. Is it 17? Yup, she's a 17mm. So we're going to crack that 17mm drain plug off. And then once it comes off, we are going to drain it into the oil pan here. And then we've got a little check bolt here. So pull that check bolt out and you put oil until it's coming out there. Then you let most of the excess drain out. And then you put it all back together. And the clutch side oil is changed. Then we've got to fill it up with radiator fluid. And it should be ready to run. So it's going to be the first startup of this thing in a good while. So I can't wait. Whew, that is nasty oil. Holy moly. Oh well. We'll put fresh oil in once the oil drains out. Alrighty, so where's my 4-stroke oil? Oh, there we go. I use Motorex Top Speed 10W40 fully synthetic oil. So look, it's nearly all drained. Just gonna give the bike a little wobble. Try to get most of the oil out of it. Anyways, we'll leave that for a minute, but right now, this old oil bolt is nasty, so we're just gonna now that that's cleaned, we'll let the rest of this oil drain out and then we will fill it back up. Alrighty, so there we go. So that's our little check bolt. It's pretty nice. We'll give it a little bit of a clean up with the rag. Now we've just got to put the big drain plug back in. So trickier than it looks, actually. Alright, so tighten that down and then we're going to start filling with oil. Alrighty, so now we're just going to start filling it up with oil. Just like so, and then we've got to keep an eye on that drain plug right there until oil starts coming out of it. There we go, see? Our oil's running out of there, so that means we're full. So now we're just going to let the excess oil run out of there. Alrighty, so our oil stopped draining out of there. Now we're just going to hand thread that in quickly. That's already on there. And then we've got it's a 5mm Allen key bit. Now these have washers on them. These do not need to be tight. That's about all I would be doing. They don't need to be torqued or anything. Alrighty, so that there's been tightened up. Same with that. Now oil's done. We've just got to fill it up with rad fluid, and then she's gonna be ready to run. Can't find any coolant. Just gonna have to wait for Dad to get home so we can get some coolant and put it in. But in the meantime, I think we're going to put the new bar risers and handlebars, grips, bark busters all on. Just get that top end ready to ride, like the handlebar area, cockpit area. And then I think we'll definitely do the air filter, but we'll do a couple other little accessories for it. And then we might start reassembling the plastics and stuff. Alrighty, so we've got an 8mm socket on the drill. Now pretty much what you want to do is just go around and loosen all the bolts off. And then we're going to take the bar pad off, and then the handlebar mounting bolts, we're going to take them off, and then everything's just going to slide off. Alrighty, so handlebars are stripped down, we've got everything off. That grip's glued on there, so holy, they're tight. Holy moly, whoever put them on there last, they did them up tight. But yeah, pretty much. Just trying to get this. Oh, well, there goes one for me. But other bolts over there. I'm just a great mechanic now, aren't I? But yeah, so the bars are off. We're going to change out those bar mounts for these Ballard's ones because those ones are bent, and then we're going to throw the new handlebars on. So it's going to look sick after this. We're also going to polish the top of the forks and the triple clamps, not polish, but just clean them up while we've got the bars off there. Boom! Just like that. The heads are on there. There we go. Just like that, they're off. We've got the holes. That's where the new ones will go. But right now, we're just going to tidy that all up. But those can go with all the old parts. So yeah, basically, we're just going to clean the triple clamps up and this whole area pretty much before we go putting new parts on, just so it all looks really, really nice. Alrighty, so the handlebars and triple clamps mount here actually cleaned up pretty good. So we are going to put the bar mounts on and then I'll sit them there. So with those bar mounts, we've got a pair of Renthal handlebars to go with the twin wall version. Like them, they're a bit stronger. Oh, but I reckon they're going to look good on there. Rubbish in the bin. Alright, so something I didn't realise, we actually need to get the old rubber mounts off of the old ones here. So those black rubber bits there, we actually need to take those off because those go in there. I thought it came with a new pair, but apparently not. So we'll take them off and then we'll put them on. Alrighty, so Where are you? We've got the bar mounts on, as you can see here. Sorry, they're not actually tight yet. I've got to take the mount here out. Yep, it's 6mm. So I've got to take the top part there off, and then sit the bars in there and get them all straight, and then I can tighten them up properly. So we've got the handlebars in there, and now we've just got to tighten these up a little bit. And then we're just gonna roll the bars up so we can actually access them. Oh, I'll need to loosen them off a little bit. Don't know why it gets tighter when I roll them up. But, so we're gonna roll the handlebars up. Now, how am I gonna do this with the camera? Bit tricky here because I've got to support the bars and the camera. Alright, there we go. So now we're just gonna nip them down. Obviously, this is not where I want to run the bars because, as you can see, they're way out of line. But the whole idea is now we can tighten these bottom bolts up for the bar mounts, and then we can go through and we can fine tune everything to exactly how I want it. Clutch, front brake, and throttle are indeed on the bars. It's all tightened down how I want it. Still lots of tidying up to do on the bars, obviously. I've got to adjust these, muck that up. Alrighty, so we've actually got the handlebars and everything sorted out now. They look really good. Ballard's bar mounts, so good. They look absolutely awesome in the black. With that out of the way though, next thing we're going to do is we're going to put bark busters on and the foot pegs, and then we'll see what we want to do next, but we might give it just another clean up, but we've still got a fair few parts to put on it. Alrighty, so 2 finished bark busters. Look at those, absolutely beautiful. We've got the other side of the mount for the bars there, the 2 Allen key bolts. Don't mind those washers, sorry. And then the other mount there with the 2 Allen key bolts. But we'll mount them up here in a second. I'm thinking about putting them sort of there-ish. I reckon that looks pretty good. But I'll show you the finished result once we've got them up there. Holy moly, they look good. Super sturdy. Got them lined up pretty well to cover the whole hand. Looking at them from the back, they're tidy. Tons of room to move still. Same on this side. I quite like them. Next up, we're going to put some Zeta foot pegs on. And then we've got a brand new throttle cable we got to throw on too. Alrighty, so these here are by far my favourite foot peg on the market. Swap hands here. They're super wide, the teeth are super tall, they're strong, durable, and they last forever, and they stay sharp a really long time as well. So as an idea, these ones here I'm pretty sure are still stock. They're dull as. These ones here I'll probably give a little sharpen up once they dull off a bit. But you can just see the comparison. The new ones are nearly twice as wide as it. You can see there, twice as wide, way stronger. So you can see here these ones are sort of bent. I've never had these bends, and I've had some pretty gnarly crashes with them where they've hit rocks and all that. But yeah, so we got this little pin on the bottom out here, the little split pin and washer there. You pull out the bottom and then you push this pin up, that one there. Give it a solid little wriggle. They can be pretty stuck in there sometimes. Whoop. But anyways, that's your pin. Where'd our spring go? There is your spring, and then there is our old foot peg. So that there is a comparison between the new and the old foot peg. So the new one will just sit in there. If I can get it to sit in there. Sit in there like that, and that looks so much better already. So we'll install these and I'll show you the finished result. Just like that. Out with the old, in with the new. They actually look really nice. The bike's starting to come together quite nicely. But those are so much better, so much bigger, sharper. But anyways, next up we're going to be putting the throttle cable on. So we've got to take the fuel tank off, and then, I'm not sure if you can see very well, but the top of the carby we're going to have to take off, and the throttle tube we've got to take apart. So once we get the throttle cable in there, we're going to do fresh air filter, and then we're going to start reassembling all the old plastics back onto it. Alright, I've taken the bolt and the hour meter off. It's just sitting there now. But just like that, if I got muscles, if that cord wasn't stuck on the tap, this is going to be tricky. Fuel tank's off, so we will sit that there on the drift truck seat, and I do believe, what one, so we'll go on there, and then top of the carby. So that's the throttle cable. So we're going to put, just have a look at this though. So slow to return back to closed. So this new throttle cable is definitely going to do the world of good for us. But yeah, we'll install this and then we'll get onto the air filter and reassembling. Subframe's all the way up there. We've popped the carby out. Obviously there's still cords and stuff attached. We're going to hit it with some carby cleaner, get all this gunk off, make it nice and fresh again, and then we're going to replace the throttle cable. And we're probably going to pull the bowl off because that screw there is half rattled out. But we'll probably pull the bowl off and have a little look inside of it. But I did do it not too long ago when I got it, so I'm not too worried about that. Well, anyways, that's the carby. Here, I'll flip it around to this side. So that's where the air filter subframe part there clips into there, and then it goes through there to the engine in there. I've just given it a really nice clean up. Came up quite nice. Now, just sit that down there carefully. We're going to replace the throttle cable, and we're going to clean all that gunk in there so it looks better. But as you can see, there is a fair bit that needs to be cleaned. I'm just going to use carby cleaner for the whole lot of it. And where is it? I got this little real firm cleaning toothbrush, but yeah, it's going to turn up awesome. Alrighty, so actually cleaned up quite nice. I don't want to get too close because that goes straight into the engine there. I'm not sure if you can exactly see, but it goes straight into the engine there. So I've just cleaned up around here where some fuel's leaked, and then up here a bit with carby cleaner. But it actually came up quite nice. So now I'm going to do the air box where it hooks onto the carby here. I'll clean all there, and all this old air filter oil and stuff, and all along there, and at the bottom of the subframe here, I'll clean all that up. Alrighty, so carby is all put back together. Super hard to film. One of the most annoying things I've done on the bike so far. We do have a new throttle cable back in there, and it's zippy tied up and tidy it up, but it is all cleaned up. I did a decent-ish job on that air filter box. Alright, so carby's all cleaned up, put back on. One of the most annoying things I've done so far on the bike. We gave it a little clean up around there. But new throttle cable. Still needs adjusting, but so much better. So much better. So much. But anyways, we're going to tidy up the bike a bit. Just that new throttle cable, we've got a zippy tie up to the side there. We're going to put the subframe back down, bolt it up. Then we're going to put the fuel tank and seat on. We're going to put coolant in it and the exhaust pipe, and then we're going to take it and start it up for the first time with all the new parts and stuff on it, new engine, everything. So hopefully it runs, but I don't have any doubts, so it's going to be cool. Alrighty, so carby's all back in there. We did give the area a little clean again. Was having some troubles with the throttle cable popping it out. I figured out that the spring that goes over the throttle cable has a little notch that you got to lock in. Very hard to see, but figured it out. I'm going to get some new of these overflow hoses because these ones are all really old now, so 18 years old. But we'll get some new ones eventually and put them on. And one of the carburetor screws on the top there is half stripped out, so I'm going to go into town tomorrow and get a fresh one for that. But other than that, it's all actually gone together quite well. Fuel tank's all back on. We're just going to put the mount on and then seat, coolant, and we're going to fire it up, so stay tuned. CR's all filled up with coolant, if you can see that. Needs the exhaust pipe put on it, and it's ready to start, so super exciting. I can't wait to actually start this thing. It's going to be awesome. Alrighty, so this here is the expansion chamber. It's a Pro Circuit Works expansion chamber. Factory sound. It's going to look so good on that. So we're going to slip this on and bolt it down, and then the silencer on the end, and start her up. Expansion chamber is on. It looks so bloody good. We need to do the springs. Next up is the silencer. Have a look at how sick this looks. We've got the Works expansion chamber, and then the Pro Circuit R304 factory sound race shorty. I can't wait to hear this thing fire up. Sounds so good. As you just saw, the bike runs so good, 10 times better than I imagined. We got it hot, we broke it in somewhat decently. Our meter and everything's working. It's running super smooth. It sounds crisp with the Pro Circuit exhaust. So that is unfortunately the end of episode 2. But come back for episode 3 because we've still got to put plastics on, and over here we've still got a full chain and sprocket system to go on. And then we've got a whole shot device, we've got to rebuild forks, brake pads, tyres, and we're polishing the bike up to give it a showroom finish. And then when we get the graphics, it's just going to turn out awesome. Shout out to MX Inc Graphics for sponsoring the video, and of course my sponsors Ghost Racewear and Twisted Moto for supporting me. And thank you Mum and Dad for the bike and all the support. Anyways, that's the end of episode 2. Come back for episode 3.